So we didn't have any bivy gear. Didn't have any sleeping bags or anything like that, but we did have a shovel. We both had a shovel. So we we dug a cave like down and across. Pretty comfortable one. Got inside, and then once you're inside, it's like instantly the wind stops, right? So it just feels really homely and comfortable. But then I only had a bivy bag with me, like a one-person bivy bag. And my emergency blanket was like really old and had already been used. So I unfolded it and it just sort of fell apart in 1,000 pieces. So it was totally useless. And so we kind of shoveled both of us in the one-person bivy bag. And then, of course, my jacket started defreezing. So it was actually really wet. And we spent a pretty cold night. Like I'd like to say it's probably the night I spent closest to any one person ever, because the whole night we sort of held each other and shivered. I had to wake up or like stand up during the night to clear the entrance because it was really snowing a lot. Yeah, just got through the night, like
miserably, but you got through it.
Cold, but got through the night. So then we had to dig ourselves out in the morning, like you see the light coming through, and the ceiling of the cave had come down quite a lot. So it was like, let's get out of here. And so I started digging out, but I got my whole body in, and my face was still completely in the snow. I was like, oh shit, what's this? I went back and kind of lay down and said, Remy, you dig us out. And while I was laying there, that's like the only time during that whole thing where I was like, am I going to die? That's a bit of a shitty way to die.
Like, oh, wow, that crossed your mind. That crossed your mind.
Just like laying in this cave, cold with the ceiling low, is like, that's really shitty. What am I doing here? But anyway, like Remy got us out, and we put our skis back on, and all these little things that, like in hindsight, tell you that I was really hypothermic by then already, because like everything was really complicated. I had to get my skis back on. I took forever to just get my pack on my back, which, you know, just because you can't move properly, or and everything was cold and stiff, and we started skiing. We said, okay, the whole thing with the skins is not going to work. We're not going to go back up. We're just going to ski down a little bit. And there's like there's a hut somewhere along the glacier, and we thought we could sort of go there and figure out what to do.
Well, why didn't you guys go down to the hut? If you knew that the hut was down there, why didn't you just go down to the hut the night before and stay in there?
Oh, because it is a bit of a ways, and you have to find it, and like, yeah.
And you thought that you could get back to the cable car with the time that you had. Yeah, so going up was better the night before then.
Exactly, yeah. And if you'd woken up and everything was blue and windless, then you would have just skied to the cable car, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's interesting. You mentioned like that you knew you were hypothermic because you do lose your fine motor skills when you are hypothermic, right? It's like tasks like zipping up your jacket become nearly impossible. Or putting on your boots and buckling your boots, like those types of things are nearly impossible when you're hypothermic.
There is that, and then there is your mind that just works really slow and weird.
Yeah.
So I remember the whole night that I lay in this thing, I had my ski boots on, and I was like, I should take these shells off, right? So my toes can wiggle a bit more. But I couldn't be asked.
Yeah.
And the same, I had my phone in the breast pocket. And the whole night I was like, I should maybe check if I have reception. But the same, I never did. I never took out my phone.
Wow, yeah. Yep, you decrease in level of responsiveness, like your brain starts to like kind of lose it.
Yeah, and you're not on edge. Like you'd expect to be sort of full of adrenaline and doing stuff, but you're the opposite. You're just like, I'm here. It's a bit shitty.
Lethargic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, morning, still strong storm. and skis back on. Started skiing down a little bit. Didn't really make progress either. Like wasn't going to go anywhere. So anyway, we skied a bit. Said this is not going to go anywhere. So let's dig another cave. So we dug like a really small cave, not much of a cave really, just a hole in the glacier, and even that. And then try to dial the emergency. So first phone just died instantly because when smartphones get really cold, they just switch off, right? Even if the battery's full. And then second phone did hold on long enough. And then it's quite funny because you dial it's 112 in Europe, it's 911 in the US, I guess. And then you just get connected to like a switchboard somewhere in a town. And so Remy, who's usually on the other end of the telephone, he had the phone. He's like, I'm Remy so and so. I'm on the glacier. I'm on this and that glacier, and please put me through to Chamonix police station. Right, the guys who organized the rescue. And the person on the other line was like, hold on, what is your emergency? Let us know. It's like, no, shut up. We don't have time. Just put us through, and we'll figure it out. So they did put us through. And actually, the good thing, the thing that probably saved us is that Remy's girlfriend had already gone to the police station and called for help. So she obviously knew what we were doing. She knew that we were supposed to come back either late at night or on the first cable car in the morning. And when we weren't, she directly went to the police station. And of course, there it's all colleagues of Remy, so they all knew what he was planning for the weekend as well, and so they knew they'd already gone out on a rescue. So it was too windy for the heli to fly, so they took up the cable cart and then skied towards us. In any case, they were on their way when we called, so it was just a confirmation rather than a new
What a relief.
a new rescue. Yeah. Not yet. Like at that point, Remy really started losing it. So like his eyes were turning around and he was saying nonsense. So that was probably a pretty scary moment more than a relief moment. So they were on their way, but they didn't have that much time to arrive.